What Jay-Z says.
Jay-Z, yes, Jay-Z said, what is revealed get healed. The the reveal part has a lot of aspect to it. And because we are trying to, especially as a person, we want to approach that healing, but there are so many elements and facets in the revealing process. It's good to have not a guide in a sense, but to have a place where you can understand that this process you are going through, first you're not alone, but also
I think it's nice to know that there's a map that exists. Like, it's a different thing if
exactly,
you think you're wandering through space and you don't know, but to know, like, okay, if you feel the feelings, you can eventually get to the other side. Like, the way to the other side of the fire is through the fire. At least if you know that and trust someone who tells you that it's a
of
start.
course, but also, when we are in this space, when we are revealing, sometimes we feel like we are so much a mess than the other person. Because what we are revealing is a mess. So like we feel my situation it might be weird. And really, like real weird from the other person. What I want to say is not necessarily wrong, but also there is no simple solutions for complex situations. So whatever comes, it comes. It's not like a picture perfect process. It's a complex situations.
And you
So
have to know that it's going to be messy
yes, it's gonna
and
be
be willing
messy.
to get
So
messy.
yes, whatever comes, comes. That's what I wanted to say.
And I think it's scary too for the floodgates. Like, I think about you and kind of when you sometimes when you start to dive into that it's like, who knows where the bottom is, where that's the fear. So it's like, but I think that even just doing it in little doses is helpful, and like, not nobody else can tell you when you're ready to do your healing. You have to be like, okay, let me try this. Holy shit, don't want to go there right now. Like, okay, try again later, and just kind of give yourself permission to know that, like, even if you're choosing not to deal with that right now, especially if it's an active choice, like, rather than just it's the default and you don't want to, you sweep it under the rug. But if you're like, you know what, I've got a lot going on in my life right now, I want to make time to deal with this, and when I have the right support, and now is not the time. Like, that doesn't mean you're not making progress. That's called self-care to me.
Yes, and I think
Amen.
we have the society is shaped to make people feel it's not okay to be who they are. So there is so much fear when they see you are in the process of finding who you are, and they are afraid, or to the messy and weird and copycat and math unhealthy people, while you are trying to get to a place where you can say it's okay, my life is a lot of mess, but I'm trying to get to, and because this is how it is.
Your
It's
internet's
not.
getting a little bad, Joel. Are you on your computer or your iPad?
Let's switch from let's switch to audio perhaps. I am on my iPad. I've not connected anything. Let me say this shortly. I want to say this. There is opposition. So it's not because there is opposition, we need to be in a place where we can be able to find help within. And writing can be that too. Writing does amazing work. For example, I did my process for 18 months. I had my process too. I stopped everything I was doing. My focus was to get to a place. For 18 months, I was doing. I mean, like I've been writing for 8 years every day, but for 18 months I was going through my process so I can get from the mess to a place where there is mess, but I am aware. I mean, like I'm causing this mess, or but I mean, like I'm aware. Yes. So, I mean, help from within. Writing can be that tool.
I feel like, Joel, I feel like maybe you've mentioned bits of hard parts of your life that you've been through, but I don't know much. And all I know is that I get this smiling guy who I ask him how he is, and he says, "Oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful," every freaking time that I ask him how he is. And I don't really know much about your like journey there and whether things have been easy or how much trauma there was or how much healing you've been through. So
I
I'm
mean,
just
like
curious.
it's never easy, and that's why I'm saying there are no simple solutions for complex situations, and it's not even possible to try to measure your process with somebody else. Sometimes they are totally different. What I'm going through and the way I'm approaching it, it shouldn't be, I mean, it's not necessarily what you go through. For example, the another point of the community which I have, the Be Yourself, one of the things which I get from it is to know it's okay not to be okay. Because sometimes I will be in a mess, and also I want to be, I mean, like a mess and working, a mess and being productive. So it's like
Mm,
that place also helps me to know I'm not alone. There are some people in some mess and they continue to keep forward. For example, it's a misconception. People think when we say somebody has healed, they think the mess won't be there. Sometimes the mess is there, but you are more self-aware. You don't go to habits that will cause, I mean, opposite results. We call them maladaptive behaviors. You do something that triggers an opposite reaction. You want to be hugged, but you say weird shit. You are not healed.
I would when we're
Yes,
recording, I think it only records the middle little section. So if you center your face in the middle, and if we can get our faces in the middle, I think that would be better. It's probably too late, but just for now and for future reference. And
so
then
perhaps I should
keep
keep it
talking.
like this.
No, I don't think it matters. I think it's better when we have it the same way. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yes.
But
So
okay, so I'll keep going. Sorry.
I was saying
Or you talk.
sometimes the mess doesn't go away, but you are just self-aware that in the 2 seconds that comes after this point, I might break the. I mean, like I might lose control. So that's the process that we want people to be in, self-aware. And I was saying sometimes outside help can be insufficient. We need to be in a place where we can have a tool that will sustain us from within. And writing can be that tool.
Yes, I that's I like that you're saying we think that the mess would be over or something, because like I feel like I struggled a lot and finally came out of the fire, and then gained some success and progress and leaps and bounds in my life, and then at somewhere in my mind I thought, okay, I'm healed, which I'm still me and I'm still have the same brain between my ears. So how I thought, that it would just be done and over was kind of irrational. And there's still, I took, you know, a step back and 2 steps forward and 3 steps back and then another step forward. Like, it's a process. And to think that we're just done with the healing process is silly and absurd. Like, it's a journey, and it's never going to be over till it's over.
I think too it
Exactly.
has there's the model, like the allopathic healthcare model, comes from the industrial revolution or whatever it is, where it's like, okay, if we're going to fix a clock, then we just take out the broken piece, we replace it with a new broken piece, and it's all better. And that's still what they do in the realm of, like transplanting organs or whatever. But now they're like, actually, you can't just take that out without impacting the whole, without bringing some of the habits of the donor into the night, like the way that stuff works. Like, we're not that separated. And I think that there's then, in a way, that it applies to mental health too, where it's like, okay, well, if we just give you the right drug, or if we just put you through the right therapy, then that thing will be fixed. Rather than, like, if you think about a tree growing, like, the tree will keep growing. It has the years when the rings are thinner because it went through drought. It has the years when they're bigger because it was really well nourished and it could grow quickly. And like every year it's going to keep going, and the other ones are still impacting it. Like, that's still in there, but it's not, I don't know. I was going to have some really powerful ending, and then I got
Yes.
distracted and kept talking.
Well, it's
think
what you touched on the other day too with the seasons,
Right.
and that
Yes.
some days you're gonna be capable of so much more, and then other days you're not. But you just have to accept that and use, like, I like to refer to it as like the different treatments or whatever are part of our toolbox, and we just keep adding more tools to our toolbox. And some days we'll be capable of using bigger tools than others, but like writing is a huge tool that got put in the back of the toolbox, hidden.
You forgot you could even use it.
Right. I forgot. It was like I journaled every day since I was a kid, for up until I was like 18, and then I stopped writing until I was from like 20 to 30 almost. I didn't write at all. I mean, very sporadically. So I don't know really know what that was about.
And I think the idea of it is integration, because things don't go away. And because we are doing integration, you need to accept the fact that some things will come up. So, like, I mean, building on the point when I was saying, we need people who are self-aware, more self-aware, and they are in a place where whatever they do, they don't cause more mess. And that happens, as you said, we need to have more toolboxes. And that's why even when we are doing tasks, I mean, like, when you have something that you need to get done, it's important to do it in a way that you don't go overboard and screw everything that you have set up, because our minds have some balance. You might set up some shit, and then you reach too big of an expectation, and you started to screw some things. I mean, like, at the end you collapse.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're onto something when you say the integration, and we need more people that are self-aware, because I feel like when I have an episode or a mental health break, it's when I become so disconnected from myself that I'm creating a mess.
Exactly. And being self-aware, I believe, in part is knowing that I'm not the problem. That's an issue, because I'm not the problem, but sometimes I can be caught up in some reactions that cause me to cause problems. So the self-aware part does what it does is it helps you catch you. I mean, you can catch yourself in the moment, or before the moment, or in the middle of the moment, and say, excuse me, I was making a mess here. Give me time, I will come back better. And then we can get into this when I'm better for you. So you excuse yourself, you go and settle down, then you come back better. And I mean, like, to me, writing does that, like, exponentially well, because I talk my mess and my things first in the morning. So I mean, like, I don't have a lot of things that can cause me not to notice when I'm making a mess.
Annie, what's something that you wish that you had known 5 or 10 or 20 years ago that's been helpful to you in your healing journey?
That I had control the whole time, or the power of control was within me if I would have just paused and went within rather than trying. You touched on it in your other video with when you brought up emotions and like how emotions can come up, and those that do struggle with especially PTSD, if they feel any sort of emotion, they try to shut it down really quick because we never learn to feel our emotions or never learn different emotions. Like when I saw that chart, like that, when I saw that chart that has all the faces on it of the different emotions when I was in my mid-20s, I was like, holy shit, there's so many emotions I didn't know existed. Like, I just knew happy, sad, angry, numb, and shut down. Like, numb. Just, like, those are really the extent of the emotions that I learned. And so when I was looking at these faces and they would have a word under it, I'm like, what does that feel like? So, like, the journey has been learning to have something come up and then try to identify it and put a word to it and then connect how that feels in my body. And so, one, learning that emotions can't kill you and that
Exactly.
it will end, like learning to let emotions wash over me and through me and then out. Like it, the more I resist it, the longer it's going to be drug out, and the more intense I'm intensifying it by resisting it. And so that's been the biggest gift, because I would let my emotions take over me, which eventually would magnify so big that I would go to this altered state of consciousness where the emotion was running the show, and then I was being messy and hurting other people and trying to hurt myself just by trying not to feel. So I guess I wish I had learned that I could feel my emotions and they would not, that it was okay to feel my emotions.
Cool.
And not to try to shut it down by not feeling it or by numbing it more with drugs and alcohol, which was another outlet that I chose over writing.
Yes, I mean, like somebody said, feelings let us know what we need. And
That's just
sometimes,
what I was going to say.
yes, and sometimes when we are notified of what we need to have ways that we can meet those needs.
Oh, what is that?
I mean, like,
Yeah.
There's a book about that.
you can never, I mean, like, you can lie to everybody else, but never you can lie to your brain. I mean, like this one here will keep scores, and it will make, I mean, to make sure, tell you this is not what we want. So
Well, and I
until you,
think,
yes,
like, well, phase one is notice the feelings, feel the feelings, be able to put a label and understand the feelings. And then I was just about to say the same thing too, which is the feelings are pointing you in a direction. Like they're pointing you to something that isn't working, or to something that you want and you aren't getting right now, or something that would nourish you or help you or be supportive of you. And so as long as we're pushing down the feeling, then that means we're also not able to access the gift. Like it doesn't matter how gnarly the emotion is. Like there's some gift in there that is wants to be seen and known and understood and included and integrated. And so when I've had, it's years that I've been involved in the nonviolent communication community, and that's really looking at feelings and needs. And there's some parts of that I love. There's some parts of it that are challenging for me, but I think I probably take for granted how much I've integrated the concept that I'm not just going to stop at saying, oh, you're feeling angry. I'm like going to look at you're feeling angry because you want some connection, because you can't believe that they treated you this way. Like going to what is it? Respect is so important to you. Like what is it underneath there that you're not getting? And then what are the better strategies that you can find to get that? Because chances are the ones that you're using are often creating the opposite.
exactly, and that's what we call maladaptive.
Right.
You are trying to meet your needs in a way that you don't. I mean, like it's an opposite. It's very weird. You want
Annie, did you
soup?
find the thing you were looking for?
You
No,
want?
Oh,
I was
damn.
trying to find this book. Can you hold this?
Yeah.
I mean, like
I mean, I don't really want to recommend it. I haven't read the book, so I don't want to recommend it.
there is a book called The Body Keep the Score. Is
The
that the
body
book?
keeps score. No, but
I've read that.
that's a
I
great
own
one.
that,
Yeah.
and that's where my
Yes.
tattoo, this anchor tattoo is inspired by that book because
The
there's
Body
a
Keep the
piece in there. Let's see. Yes.
For example, there is the book which I
Vanderkolk.
mean, like yes, there is the book. I mean, like it's so tremendous. It's called Emotional Alchemy.
I've
What's
never
it
heard
called?
of it. Emotional alchemy.
It's like mindfulness. I mean, like it's how you apply mindfulness. I mean, like it's fantastic.
Mm.
I don't know what to say. I mean, like
You read that?
it's Jesus.
Huh.
Because, for example, to me, I mean, like what was so much, I mean, the conflict which I had. I know I'm not a terrible person. So why am I acting in a weird way? I was trying to identify what is wrong here. Mindful, I mean, like emotional alchemy. It's amazing.
How the mind
It's
can heal the heart.
yes, emotional
Interesting.
alchemy. It's phenomenal. I mean, like
Is this it?
that's the book. Tara Bennett. That's the
Yes.
book.
Okay.
I mean,
We,
like it will give you so much peace of mind when whatever your mind is trying to go haywire,
mm.
because you understand what is happening, and you know, I mean, like I'm not the devil here. Something is just going haywire.
Aw.
You take note, and you know, I mean, like I can go further from here. Emotional alchemy. It was amazing to me.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Will you read the passage that
It's
you have from
always
with your anchor?
applied.
Oh yeah. There's a quote by Vanderkolk in the book from The Body Keeps Score,
Mm.
and I made this art piece with it and it's a quote that says, once you recognize that post-traumatic reactions started off as an effort to save your life, you may
Exactly.
gather the courage to face your inner music or cacophony, but you will need help to do so. You have to find someone who you can trust enough to accompany you, someone who can safely hold your feelings and help you listen to the painful messages from your emotional brain. You need a guide who is not afraid of your terror and who can contain your darkest rage. Someone who can safeguard the wholeness of you while you explore the fragmented experiences that you had to keep secret from yourself for so long. Most traumatized individuals need an anchor and a great deal of coaching to do this work. So I
Exactly.
got that tattoo in honor of my therapist, who I considered, I mean, I'm so close to her, I call her mom, that she was that person that I trusted enough to explore that darkest, ragiest, scariest side of myself that I did put away for so long. That baffles me that our brains protect us by blacking out things so traumatic. You can't, like, you forget, you don't even know it existed. And then you can have memories or flashbacks come years. I mean, I didn't have memories till like 18. So like for 18 years, my brain protected myself because it was too much to handle for my nervous system, apparently. Like, that's crazy to me. It's amazing.
Yes, and I think healing, or the mental health kind of conversation, the terror it caused and the damage it caused is substantial. But
Mm-hmm.
it has always been having ups and downs in the society. the conversation will go mute for so long, and the damage will still be there, the terrors will still be there. But also there are some times when the conversation comes up, people talk about it, people become more aware about it, and more people get healed. So I think I feel we are in a space where I believe more people will get to a place they start to explore some things that are causing them not to move forward. For example, one of the things which I really want to stand behind is don't let, I mean, like, yes, I mean, like, our potentials, or what, I mean, our greatest contributions sometimes are hidden from what we don't want to reveal. Sometimes I mean, our greatest work will come from those places where there is more pain. Sometimes there is more things to be learned. Sometimes there is more contribution to be given to other people or even to us. So we have a room to access those places and
I
reveal them.
I continue to be amazed just for people who have been listening to us that we just Annie's a paramedic. She's parked out somewhere waiting for a call. I've got the day off. Joel and I are working on this launch. And so we just came and sat down, and this is the first time these two have ever met. And here we are having this fucking incredible conversation about healing that I know is going to make a difference to people and is going to help them feel not so alone. And it's the launch pad. I mean, I asked, it's the launch pad of you starting to share more visibly your experience and vocally and your learnings, and then the fact that it ties into the writing work that we're doing and talking about. It's just fucking amazing how it comes together.
I mean, like, I suspect any work that doesn't have healing behind it will collapse, because as long as you have started to do something, as long as you have done any kind of things, perhaps you will fall down, you will fail. There's something that will happen, and that accumulated damage need a place to be processed, and unless you do nothing. But as long as you are starting to do any kind of something, you get heartbroken. So, and that accumulates some kind of damage. Unless we stop and process and heal, and then we move forward, nothing will be sustained. So, and that's why I'm saying sometimes our greatest work will come from those dark trenches, the places where we have said, no, nobody will come here. Sometimes that's inside those places lie our greatest potential for greater work. And writing can be that to all that space where you can access those places without any interruption. Sometimes you don't even need to share with anybody, because I have pages and pages and pages of angry me trying to understand what is so angry to be about in this situation. But I try to explore.
Well,
I think that's another
it does that.
piece that I forgot too. Like, my therapist would be like, "Did you write about it?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't write about it." And she's like, "Well, maybe you should, because like I'll have so many thoughts and emotions going on inside that I can't even sort through it. Like, I have to get it out of me to see it, to make sense of it, and then I can process it. But when it's inside of me, it's too much. It's too muddy, like it helps to get it out of me through writing, so that then I can process it and sort through it and be like, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. But in my mind, it feels like a crisis. But if I put it out on paper, or just in writing, and or even just talking to another person, another human about it, and having that connection, be like, this is what I'm feeling, and then I get some feedback, and then it's not so big, it's not so magnified. I mean, that's a huge piece in trauma too, I'm sure. Like, that's why they say you need to talk about it, because you got to get it out of your, especially if it happened young, like you didn't have words for it then, so there's no way to identify, or it doesn't have a file cabinet in your brain for it, because you didn't even have a word for what you were feeling in the first place. So that was fascinating to me. But
Yes, I believe. I mean, I truly believe if we'll be willing to heal, we will be better fathers, better partners, better everything. But we are causing damage, and more damage to our children, damage to the children of our children. Because, and for example, I'm not saying you become a yoga instructor. I'm just saying take rest. I mean, like, I'm not saying you go overboard. Like, I'm saying, like, just be there. I mean, like, rest when you need to rest. Write your stuff up. I mean, like, don't go friends and become a meditation guru. No, but
unless you want to.
yes, yes, but be in a place where you can be of service and not cause a lot of damages because you're not doing a lot of self-care for yourself, which is done with very little steps. I mean, because there's some people who are going bored with some stuff. No, just rest, write some shit, do what is joyful, say no sometimes, be lazy. I mean, like, take self-care of yourself. Then we'll have a lot of better things to do.
I think writing is a process of, like what you're talking about, talking to somebody else. It's empathy and compassion and understanding and perspective when we talk to someone else. But when we do that in writing, it's a version of self-empathy, and of that we can. And I think it's empowering in a way, but especially for people who may not have a safe person or a safe place to talk about these things or go through them. That at least there's writing.
For example, what is damaging for me, especially to me, there's so much damage that is caused by people who listen to other people's stories, because the terror and the dark things that are spoken, some people, they don't have the space to hold them and not become judgmental about it. So they label people up, they cause a lot of damage. So the process of healing itself become obstructed. Writing to me is a self-healing process that nobody's allowed in that space, but also you have a time to process it as you look at it, because I believe we have all the tools to get better. So if it's possible, until you find the safest places to dump your things, if it's not there, just do it step at a time.
I mean, it's pretty fucking revolutionary to say that we have all the tools to get better, because we're so much a consumerism society that says that you're not enough unless you buy the thing or you have the thing, and that you need to get fixed. But I go back to things in nature being self-sustaining and
Yes, I mean, like, yeah,
self-healing.
we have all the tools. We have all the tools. Because I mean, like, for example, I had I collect stories. I ask people. I have, I mean, like, it's about 500 now. I talk to people who are in places, or they have been in places where it was not very. For a girl, she was told she had a very severe pain, bodily pain. She was told, what you have is unhealed. I mean, like, you need to just maintain it. It's not something that we can treat or we can heal. But she lived with it for, I think, 7 or 8 years, surviving at least 7 or 8 suicides. I mean, like, so close to dying.
Yeah.
Then she said, let me stop. She stopped the work. She stopped everything. She said, let me go travel. I'll go for 1 year. I'll try to explore my life and to try to see if I'll get better. She is better. She spent 1 year and now she's getting better. What was called and treated is no longer there.
That's
So, like,
something that I talk about in the Live Your Truth Manifesto also, is that like a lot of times people are having these big feelings come up, but they only want to look at the simple solutions. Like they want to have a quick
Not
solution, but
simple.
sometimes it has to fucking shake your life up. I mean, I in there I talk about my mom called me a narcissist. My husband asked for a divorce. Like, in order for me to relieve the feelings that were inside of me and to find healing, I had to make some big changes. And if you're not willing to look at the big changes, then you're going to be stuck, because it's like, okay, you want to move the car forward and you won't fix the axle. You just want to change the windshield wipers. Change them all day long. It's not going to make you feel much better or get much
Exactly.
farther.
Complex problems, they are not necessarily solved by simple solutions.
Oh, and we sum it all up so beautifully. I'm thirsty and hungry. Anything else you want to add to the conversation before we wrap up?
Yeah, I've been trying to download this app for the last ever to find this book. So hang tight.
We can also post a link to it in the video description or wherever we put this. Because now we're on a roll with this frictionless content creation. We just sit in a car and have life-changing conversations left and right. And I would think, like, it feels like divine timing to me that here we are, you two are connecting, you and I are launching this Be Yourself in Writing project, but just how much, I mean, that your whole life, besides be yourself, the other big thing is heal, and all of your healing stories, and just how passionate you've been about that for so long.
Exactly, because most of it is about my healing. I really need to be in a place where I don't cause more damage. Because sometimes you are causing damage unintentionally.
You're causing damage, and what? It broke up. You broke up. You're causing damage
without the
We lost you, Joe. We can't hear you. It's breaking up. Perhaps it's time to hang up, and it's the universe intervening on my behalf because I have to need a bio break.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Meanwhile, we got Missy over here who
into
can't log into her Amazon account.
I can send book to her about healing. I have some collections here. I think I'll send it here on Skype. It's not long. I write very short things. You know,
Yeah, and let's post it with the video, wherever we post the video to.
Yes, I write very short things. So, like,
all right. Well, I think I'm ready to wrap up for now.
Thank you. So you will send me the copy thing. Then I will send it.
Yeah, but let's finish our recording before we get into the technical nitty-gritties, so then I don't have to edit it. Thank you.
It was very nice to meet you.